Okay, so Fastlane actually turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to. Each of the wrestlers told fantastic stories. The matches were pretty good, and some of them actually stole the show, in my opinion. I like that they started off with the six-man tag. I would have thought that would have been later in the show, but it got the show off to the pace the fans would have liked to see. You had Ziggler, Rowan, and Ryback against Rollins, Kane, and Big Show. And the Authority came out on top. Really their biggest victory of the night, considering at the end of the night you knew that it was either going to be Daniel Bryan or Roman Reigns going to WrestleMania. The Authority won where you saw some teamwork between Big Show and Kane, especially after there was some dissension amongst the team over the last couple of weeks with Kane and Big Show arguing with one another. But they worked well together, and at the end of it, you almost had a rehash of SmackDown where Rollins started curb stomping everyone left and right until finally Randy Orton made his much anticipated return when he came out and RKO'd everybody in sight except for Big Show and Seth Rollins because Big Show rescued Rollins from getting DDT'd, and then Rollins ran like a coward, which was expected. So this sets up Rollins versus Orton at WrestleMania, which should be a fantastic match. We'll get to that one down the line. Then they did the match between Goldust and Stardust. And throughout the match, the crowd was definitely trying to get under Stardust's skin by chanting Cody, Cody, Cody. It looks like they're going to run the angle where they're going to try and get Cody Rhodes to come back, hopefully in time for a rematch with Goldust, I should say, at WrestleMania. The match was good. Told an excellent story. Dusty had begged Dustin prior to the match happening, don't hurt your brother, don't hurt your brother, and he didn't. Goldust won the match with some controversy, but he didn't hurt Cody in the process. For those of you who saw the match, you saw the referee's hand actually came down. It didn't look like it hit the mat 3 times. It looked like just as his wrist hit the mat and Cody kicked out, referee Rudy Charles called for the bell, ended the match right there, bam, Goldust won. So it's going to stir up some controversy, and it'll make for a great follow-up when these two meet again next month at WrestleMania. The tag team titles, I was a little surprised here. Great chemistry between all 6 individuals, including Natalya and Naomi, who are outside basically willing their respective better halves on, for Naomi for Jimmy, Natalya for Tyson. But you definitely saw great chemistry amongst the 4 competitors in the ring. The 2 Usos, Jimmy J, Cesaro, and Kid. They all worked well together. They told a great match. Simply phenomenal, and it came down, really a surprise in my opinion, Tyson Kidd and Cesaro winning the belts. I would have thought they would have kept the titles on the Usos just a little longer, maybe push towards another match at WrestleMania with maybe the Ascension, but instead Kidd and Cesaro get the belts. We'll see where this goes from here. Maybe we'll get a rematch between the both teams at WrestleMania. Maybe we'll get one in the coming weeks on Raw, and you never know, we might have a repeat of last year where you have an elimination match for the titles at WrestleMania 31. The Divas title match kind of went as I expected in most parts. I expected Nikki Bella to retain. I didn't expect very little to no outside interference from Brie. Brie was pretty much not involved at all in the decision. It allowed Nikki to beat Paige with very little assistance from her sister. And the only real cost here was that Nikki used Paige's shorts to get the win, which again was expected. You weren't expecting the championship to change hands here. Nikki Bella keeping the Divas title was expected. It's going to lead to another match at WrestleMania. We'll see where they go from there. Based on what I saw tonight, I don't see a triple threat unless AJ comes back in. Instead, it's AJ, Paige, and Nikki. But then you never know. Brie might get thrown in as well to make it a fatal 4-way to try and keep the belt in the Bella's camp. Dean Ambrose and Bad News Barrett had a fantastic match that ended up as a mugging, literally. When Barrett started to realize he couldn't beat Ambrose conventionally, he was going to do the old coward's way, take the title and run, and Ambrose wouldn't let him. The 2 of them, they brawled much of the match. Barrett hit Ambrose with almost everything he had. Ambrose nailed Barrett with 2 clotheslines, and then it concluded with Ambrose just pummeling Barrett in the corner, that finally the referee had to say enough, called for the bell, match was thrown out. But, of course, Ambrose was not satisfied, so what did he do? Dropped Barrett on his head with the dirty deeds and walked out with the Intercontinental title, because, hey, in a fight, the last guy standing is the guy walking out with the prize, and that's just what Dean Ambrose did. So Ambrose walked out with the belt. on a technicality, but technically, bad news, Barrett is still the Intercontinental Champion. This should build towards a fantastic contest, another match between these two at WrestleMania. I was a little surprised with the Sting Triple H confrontation. Went pretty much as expected, I guess. I would have thought the other members of the Authority would have tried to come out to back Triple H up. Sting and him did get into a brawl. But the one thing you can always count on with Sting is that baseball bat is always handy. And that's just what it was there. As it looked like Triple H was going to have the upper hand. And I guess somebody in the crowd knew something we didn't because they actually had a sign that said sledgehammer versus baseball bat. And I'm sitting here watching this with a friend of mine, and I'm just going, keep your eyes on Sting. So as Triple H comes back in the ring and he's got the sledgehammer in his hands ready to go against Sting with it, next thing you know, bam, there's the signature bat pointed right in Triple H's throat. As Sting backs him into a corner, he points to WrestleMania and basically says it right there, you and me. We still haven't heard Sting talk physically on a microphone in WWE, but you clearly heard Sting say, pretty much mouth, I'll see you at WrestleMania. Triple H, of course, agreed to the match by going, if that's what you want, you got it. And then, of course, we went for another swing on Sting. He ended up taking a bat to the gut and then a Scorpion Death Drop, and that was the exclamation point to set up Sting versus Triple H. I don't think it should come as a surprise about what happened with Bray Wyatt tonight. Everybody knew it was pretty much a foregone conclusion based on the promos that Bray was doing over the last couple of weeks that he was signaling out and calling out the Undertaker, and that's just what happened tonight. The whole shebang. He had the Druids, the casket, everything. Heck, I almost thought it was Undertaker coming out because he realized that it was Bray challenging him. Instead, it was Bray in the coffin that came to the ringside area. Bray called out the Undertaker, and now we'll have to wait to see what the dead man's reply is. The only thing that's upsetting about this match, while I think these two will have a fantastic match at WrestleMania, is that the streak is not at stake here. I think Bray versus Undertaker with the streak on the line would have been a great contest. That way, the next year you'd have Sting versus Undertaker possibly at 32, and then the streak could have died there with these two finally meeting. The one thing I do like, though, about last year, I said this before, and people get upset every time I mention it, is you think that with Sting and Undertaker, which is the one match that us as wrestling fans want now more than anything else, that it means nothing with the streak being dead. No, it still means something. Because now, where you had for so many years, like, oh, is this guy going to beat the streak? Is that guy going to beat the streak? There's so many guys before Brock did it last year that you could have said, this man can break the streak. This man can break the streak. CM Punk could have done it. Triple H had 3 opportunities. WrestleMania 17, 27, 28. Shawn Michaels at 25 and 26. Kane at 14 and 20. These guys all had multiple opportunities, and then you had other wrestlers that had chances. Then you look at guys currently on the roster. Bray Wyatt won. John Cena. Daniel Bryan. Rusev, which I don't think that would have happened. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins. These are guys, Roman Reigns, that could have broken the streak instead of Lesnar, but it was all to build up to what we're going to get at WrestleMania with Brock now. That's why Brock had to be the guy to break the streak. None of us liked it last year, but what's done is done, and that's just how it goes. So now, pretty much to make sure that Taker can still go, especially after how physical that match was a year ago between he and Lesnar, Deadman's had a whole year off. The pictures we've all seen surface online of him and Michelle McCool, he looks like he's doing fine. So I'm hoping The Undertaker comes back. If he was not available to come back, then these promos would have stopped a while ago, and Bray would have probably singled out Daniel Bryan or Dolph Ziggler or somebody else to try and build towards a match with that person. But since the promos are continuing to go, it looks like Undertaker will be ready to go, and we'll have Taker versus Wyatt at WrestleMania, which should be another good match, because how do you play mind games with a guy who's a master at it? And these two both have proved over the last, for Bray Wyatt, 2 years, Undertaker 20 plus, that they are masters at the mind game. And this match between them at WrestleMania 31 could be a show stealer, hopefully. I'm a little surprised with how the United States title match ended. I would have figured they would have brought back the eye injury that mysteriously vanished from 2 weeks ago. I thought they would have brought that back with the show at Fastlane, but it didn't. Cena got his tail handed to him most of the match, which is typical for John Cena. He busted out some power bombs, some suplexes, drop kicks. But Rusev did a great job showing his dominance. I'm not surprised with how it ended. I would have thought they would have ended it with the referee stopping the match because of the eye injury, but Lana getting involved by bringing in the United States belt, referee throwing her out, and then Rusev kicking Cena low, and then the super kick, and Cena passing out is important because that builds towards the rematch at WrestleMania now, where expect Cena to win. Because Cena did not tap out. Even though it's going to go down in the books as a submission victory for Rusev, Cena's mantra, never give up, is still in play. Cena passed out. Just like you go back to WrestleMania 13, Stone Cold. He did not tap out to the sharpshooter. Stone Cold passed out from blood loss to them in that match with Bret Hart. At least that's the way the story tells it. Same thing here. Cena passed out because he got kicked low and then had the accolade put on him. So now it's just going to bring Cena back stronger, as we all have seen him do in the past, to come back and beat Rusev this time to win the United States Championship. I wouldn't be surprised, because there have been talk for a while about this, that if Hulk Hogan gets added to this, just because real American, all that stuff, Hogan proud to be USA, everything else, I wouldn't be surprised if they want to put Hulk Hogan in Cena's corner. Then again, I wouldn't be surprised if they put somebody else in Cena's corner. It's probably going to be the Hulkster, though, just so that he can keep Lana in check while Cena and deals with Rusev head-to-head, and Cena will be the guy to finally give Rusev that first loss and bring back the United States Championship. But I wasn't surprised with how it ended. I think it ended the way it needed to build to the rematch that we're going to get at WrestleMania. Finally, the main event. A lot of people were skeptical about it. Would Bryan have to carry Reigns because all Reigns is a powerhouse, is a brute, doesn't know much, or would they have a great match? They had a terrific match. Definitely, I would say the uh, matchup between the Rhodes brothers was pretty good. I wouldn't say that was the match of the night. I would probably say, if anything, I couldn't really name a match of the night unless you said the Tag Team Championship. That was a really, really good match. All four men executed that greatly. But Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan did a great job telling the story for WrestleMania. For Bryan, he's the guy that never lost the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Excuse me. And it was just taken from him. So he was trying to get back to that opportunity, get one more chance at the championship. For Roman Reigns, he won the Royal Rumble. He earned his spot. He should not have had to have put it at stake, but the authority put it on him to do so. So this match, and it pretty much gave the fans, as I said before, what they wanted. We wanted Daniel Bryan to get an opportunity, or at least the fans wanted it. I personally was behind Roman Reigns going to WrestleMania from the start because it's what was already written into the scripts. That being said, these two had a great match. Bryan showed the world that he can hang with the big boys. Roman Reigns showed that he has some technical skill of his own. The two men put on a great match. They told a fantastic story, and it all came down to what it did in the end between the two men, and that is who wanted it more. And Bryan did a great job kicking the crap out of Reigns. Hit him with the running knee. Reigns had hit Bryan with a Superman punch, Samoan drop, flying kick to the face while Bryan was draped over the bottom rope, and his diving clothesline. None of that managed to put Bryan away. Bryan hit Reigns with everything he had in his arsenal. Two yes locks, a few other submissions, the running knee once. None of it could put Reigns down. Then finally Reigns smacks Bryan with the spear. Call it a night, sweetheart. Roman Reigns is going to WrestleMania. The exclamation point now is Bryan going afterwards, looking at Reigns and saying, "You had better kick his ass at WrestleMania." So Bryan now will take the back seat, let Roman Reigns go to WrestleMania as it should have been from the start. And now Bryan will focus on a new story for WrestleMania, while Roman Reigns, beginning tomorrow night on Raw, will begin his quest to go towards WrestleMania. There's going to be a lot of points going into Monday Night's Raw that will be addressed, most likely. How's the Authority going to handle Randy Orton's return going after Seth Rollins? What can the Authority do now to roadblock Roman Reigns to keep him from getting at Brock Lesnar? Although Paul Heyman will tell them, don't worry about that. Brock will handle Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is nothing. How will Cena bounce back from his first technical submission loss? Which I'd have to check on that. I don't know if that is his first official submission loss or if it's his first one in forever. Because as far as I remember, since he started this gimmick, we know he never tapped out. And again, he did not tap out to Rusev. He passed out, which continues the gimmick of never giving up. But I don't remember if he had a submission loss in the past, like when he wrestled um, Chris Benoit or any of those guys. So I'd have to look up and see if he has a submission loss there. Maybe he won to Kurt Angle back in the day when he was still a bad guy, starting out his white rapper Vanilla Ice gimmick, or if he'd never tapped out before. But this would be technically in the books his first submission loss, which goes to the black eye based on everything that happened. And again, you'll get the rematch between Rusev and Cena at WrestleMania. Barrett and Ambrose obviously aren't done. Wouldn't be surprised these guys go at it at WrestleMania. I'd like to see a ladder involved. Highly doubt it. You'll probably just see these two go toe to toe one more time. Because Ambrose will only agree to return the Intercontinental title if Barrett agrees to give him another shot at it. Because it's just who Dean Ambrose is. Which is important, in my opinion, that Ambrose finally wins it at WrestleMania. Because since the Shield broke up, Ambrose has not won at a pay per view. You go back to Money in the Bank, he didn't win there. Um, he didn't get a match with Rollins at Battleground because he was taken out of action by Rollins. SummerSlam, Rollins won. Ambrose was also out of action going the Night of Champions. That was supposed to be Rollins versus Reigns, but Reigns was hurt. Reigns could not return until the end of last year. They met at Hell in a Cell, Ambrose and Rollins. Rollins won thanks to Bray Wyatt. Ambrose lost to Bray Wyatt at Survivor Series by DQ. Ambrose lost to Wyatt at TLC thanks to a TV exploding in his face. Ambrose was knocked out unceremoniously from the Royal Rumble, and then last night at the show, pummeled Barrett, and the referee stopped the fight. So Ambrose hasn't won a pay-per-view match in a long time. So I'm hoping WrestleMania will be the turnaround, get the Ambrose the win he deserves, put the Intercontinental Championship on Dean, and then let him build it from there. Um, but there's a lot going into now, and questions will be answered in the weeks leading up to WrestleMania. Definitely, the road now looks a lot different than it did 2 weeks ago, and I'd like to see where these stories go. I'd like to see where it goes from here, and what should be a fantastic 5 weeks now between now and WrestleMania 31, and what should shape up to be a fantastic card. Thanks for watching.